Two questions, and basically that's it.
Yeah.
First of all, is God infinite?
In what? Because infinite, let me tell you the word infinite. Infinite does not make sense as a word by itself. It's like saying the word, is God zero? Zero in what? Zero in injustice? Absolutely, right?
That God doesn't exist.
No. So if you say,
Content over everything!
no, that's not how it works. Infinity,
So how it works?
infinity has to be, you have to add the word infinity with some kind of subject or object. So you have to say, does he have infinite
Is
This
A
ties
mercy?
into the
infinite?
question I want to
Yeah,
ask
Is
you.
infinite time.
A infinite?
Nah, infinite in and of
Is something infinite?
infinite in and of itself must be contextualized with either time, bodies, movement, or something. Otherwise, we're talking about an abstraction, which actually, to most mathematicians, doesn't mean much, right?
Well, even in time, body, even if you try to make it more concise, more concrete, it's still infinity. It still cannot be perceived by humans. It's still exactly the same. You're not changing
your question
anything.
is God infinite. It's not a complete question. Is he infinite in what? What are you asking?
Is he
exactly?
infinite in knowledge, for
Yes.
example?
Yeah. So
yes.
he has all knowledge. Yes.
Yes. So does God know what it means to be evil?
He knows what it means to be evil. Yes.
So he was evil.
You don't have to. That's a. It's
He
like-
experienced being
Right.
evil.
No, God is
Does
not
God know
susceptible.
the experience of being evil?
All right. So here's what I would say to you, right? The susceptibility of experience, as known by human beings, is not the same as for God. So, for example, for us, right? Human beings. Someone will say, human beings, I can steal. Yes.
Yes.
Does God have the experience of being a thief? No, because God, number one, owns everything. So it's impossible for him to be a thief. So in other words, having the experience of something is not necessarily having the knowledge of it.
But by not having that limit that humans have, God doesn't have the exact knowledge that humans have with that limit.
That's,
God doesn't
that's
have
a
the
fallacy.
knowledge. God doesn't have the knowledge of being wrong. God doesn't have the knowledge of stealing. God doesn't have a knowledge
No, but
of lying.
You can have the
By
knowledge
that,
of
God
something
is not
without having to do it.
is not all
You
knowing.
can have the knowledge of something without having to do the thing.
Not really. You don't have. You can't have the
So is that-
experience
is that
of
possible?
doing something.
Is that really impossible?
Yes,
You're
but you
a clever
can't
man.
have the-
Yeah, you're a clever. Yeah, what's
Thank
your
you.
name?
Thank you.
What's your name
Thank
again?
you. They call me Pavlov.
Pavlov, how are you, my friend? So I would say to you, you're a clever man, right? If I say to you, well, do you really need to have the knowledge that, do you really need to have experience of touching a flame in order to know that it burns you?
I need to know the knowledge of the feeling,
No,
how
but
it
do you
burns.
need- no, you don't need to
I
have
will
that.
know it hurts, but I will not
Is-
know exactly the way how
Is
it
it
hurts
conceivable,
unless I
Pavlov?
get hurt.
Let me ask you a question. Is it conceivable? Is it conceivable for someone to know that fire burns without having ever been burnt?
Is it conceivable for you to know how something tastes sweet?
Here you go.
Is it possible? Without ever tasting anything that's sweet.
If you're talking about me personally, me with my limited parameters and so on, me, you could argue yes in an ontological sense. You can argue that I have a dream of sucking a lollipop. That'll be an ontological answer. We're just talking about that, right? Or you could argue no. Well, both of those arguments are valid. But when we're talking about the
Are they?
yeah.
I mean, logically you can't because you never experienced
But
it.
that's
And
a
I'm talking about
naturalistic
knowledge
understanding.
of experience.
What we just said, right? You can have knowledge of experience without having that material experience. For example, I might have, sorry to be very explicit here, a wet dream. Okay?
No
I
problem.
might
with
have,
that.
and
Everybody has it
many,
at some
many
point.
boys and and girls have wet dreams. Okay, now it's quite a similar experience, maybe not fully in its
To
entirety,
sex.
to the sexual experience, right? Now, let's say, for example, the person has never had actual sexual intercourse, but they've had a wet dream, but they can ontologically fathom what the sexual
They
experience
can have an orgasm.
will entail.
Without having sex.
Right, so the same thing, there's a fallacy here in your reasoning, that you have to actually materially, cosmologically, go through an experience through the senses, the five senses,
Yes.
in order for there to be a knowledge of every, in and out of that particular transaction. That's not necessary, it doesn't follow like that. You can have a knowledge of how the experience will feel without having materially felt that thing through an ontological sensation, for example.
How can you
And that's
tell
us as
what
a-
red
that's-
is while being blind?
You can if you have
something
if,
that
if,
cannot
if you have an
happen. You need
ontological
to have that
experience.
feeling,
if you have a
that
dream
sense.
of red, if you have a dream of redness,
If you're blind, you will not see any colors in your
how do you know?
dreams.
If you have a dream, if you're a
Because
blind
the
person, have a
dreams
dream.
are an agglomeration of the world that we see now. They
Right.
are a distortion of that world.
Like the
You
thing
cannot
that,
see in dreams
what you're-
something that
I've got a great
has
example.
zero link to the
okay,
world.
I'm gonna disprove you right now. Okay.
Go ahead,
And you're
disprove
gonna, and you're gonna.
Please disprove me.
And you are going to accept it. Okay. And you are going to accept it.
Go ahead.
Yes. Because you are a man of humility and integrity.
Of course, lots of humility.
Does mathematics exist in the real world?
Sorry to interrupt. You're talking about, just explain to what you're arguing about. As God created the concept of stealing, He created all concepts is above our comprehension and everything. So, was your question before, how can God know what stealing is if you've never stole anything?
No, I covered that. I'll come to it in a second. So I don't lose my train of thought. Sorry
You
about that,
repeat
sorry.
the question.
No. So here the point is, mathematics is entirely ontological, accept or not?
Ontological. What exactly ontological? What exactly
it's
do you
in the
mean by
mind.
that in this specific
In
sense?
the mind. It's not
mathematics is in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
It's theory.
This ties to the question
It's
I wanted to
theory.
ask you.
Is
It's
mathematics
theoretical knowledge, right?
theoretical?
Theoretical.
Is mathematical?
My bad.
Is mathematics ontological or is it cosmological?
So cosmological, you mean by cosmological?
Cosmological, that
it's
which is
something that
perceived
you
through the five
perceive-
senses.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Five
ontological
senses,
in your mind.
Ontological in your mind.
Which is it?
Okay. Which is mathematics?
Yes.
Ontological or
Or-
cosmological?
yes.
Right. If I had to answer that, I would say
Isn't mathematics
It's-
factual?
No, but is it conceived of in the mind or is it put under a microscope?
I will come to facts.
Do
a
we
little
find
bit
out
later.
about numbers
That's
through
a
the
good
microscope
point.
or do we know
I'm
it?
glad you said that.
Yeah, but facts can be either ontological or cosmological. I'm asking, is mathematics, is it something in the mind or is it something that you get through the five senses under a microscope? Can you put numbers under a microscope?
Neither. It's facts. It means you don't get it.
No.
in the mind, and you don't get
Don't-
it
don't-
by
don't go that
putting
way, don't go
other-
that way.
I wouldn't agree with that.
something
Go-
Don't go
outside.
that way.
I would come back to that, but that's
All
not
right.
correct answer.
Now
No.
you are telling me I'm using fallacies while you use the fallacy right now.
What's it called? Like what? False dichotomy?
Because
What
we
are you
don't
gonna
know
say?
mathematics when we are born.
That's what
The
you're saying.
mathematics we know in our head is the mathematics that has been taught to us with the numbers that we see.
Yeah, no problem.
With
Even if
our
you've been taught
perception.
it, you've been taught it. But even when you were being taught it, were you being taught it? Is mathematics found out through an investigation of science, or is it found out through mental abstraction?
I'd
That's
say
the
it
thing. There is nothing.
reinforces each other.
There is nothing in
No
this
problem.
world.
But where does it start?
All right.
Where does it start? Sorry, I apologize.
It's fine. It's fine.
I actually want to ask this man some genuine questions because I am genuinely.
Let's finish this thing.
Yeah,
One
I
thing
know,
at a time.
but this is what I'm saying. You finish your.
Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean, but I think
Nothing in this world is truly ontological because everything we know goes through our
All right.
senses.
Okay, no problem. I have a challenge for you then, Pavlov. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a challenge for Pavlov. I have a challenge. All right.
I think I know what the challenge
You know,
will be.
no, I've got a good challenge for Pavlov. My challenge for Pavlov and for every other naturalist in the world is to prove mathematics through the scientific method. Is it conceivable?
Through the scientific
Yeah.
method.
Is it possible that you can prove mathematics through the scientific method? Yes or no?
In theory, you can. But the
Show me how.
application of theories to the real world
Do you think it's
is
possible?
flawed. Wait, guys.
I think that if
This is-
science itself, science destroys itself.
Yeah. No,
Exactly.
right. So it's impossible for
like
mathematics
quantum
to be
mechanics.
established through the
Quantum
scientific
mechanics
method.
contradicts
Basically,
many
sorry,
theories,
yeah.
scientific
Yeah.
theories
So, no,
that we have,
you're not
like
understanding-
Einstein's
Pavlov,
relativity.
you're not getting the
theory.
question.
No, I am getting
All
the
right. Do you know what
question.
the scientific method is?
Sorry?
What is the scientific method?
Scientific method.
Yeah, go on.
It's something that you prove.
What is it? What are the steps? What do you do? How do you go? How do you?
explain the scientific method?
Okay, go ahead. You
so
explain
so
the
you have,
scientific-
let's say for example, you have a hypothesis, right?
Yes.
Then you go into the laboratory in controlled settings, you run the experiment
Yes.
in controlled settings and so on, and then you put your conclusions in a journal.
Yeah.
Then there's peer review, falsification, after popper and so
No,
on.
you missed a very crucial point.
Sorry, go
about
ahead.
scientific
I
method.
might have, yeah.
It's falsibility. You
Yeah,
have to
I
be
said
able
that.
to
I said
falsify.
falsification.
Yeah.
I just said that.
Not only that,
there
are more
that
things
is like
than
the most
that.
important thing.
Yeah, I just said that.
Essentially, what you're trying to do is
Yes.
find something that you can prove false.
Yeah, all right. I said that, but you,
So
you
no
didn't.
scientific
you did.
experiment
I did.
is
It's on the camera,
absolutely
you can
No,
say
certain.
it.
no, no. It's on
As
there.
quantum mechanics proves to us
Right,
many
right.
times.
Anyway.
You see,
No, peace be with you, brother. It's like
Falsification.
we're not going to argue about something,
Yes.
right? But it's like because it's very important.
Right,
The
let's
difference
come
between
to
science
it.
and everything else is that you're actively looking for
There's
something.
interference in the
Find
battle.
something wrong.
Happens all the time.
I'm
You're
not making
you're-
anything wrong with science.
You're,
I'm just
you're-
saying that.
you're not looking for something that confirms what your belief is.
Yes, yes,
You're
I
trying to
agree.
disprove what
No,
you're
I agree.
looking
That's
for.
Karl Popper. That's
Okay.
falsification. I said
So
that.
I'll shut the fuck up because I'm an arsehole. Me and you, I want to ask you something.
Okay,
later on.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Let me just finish with Pavlov. You cannot put numbers under a microscope. They cannot be smelt, they cannot be touched, they cannot be felt. You cannot go through the 5 senses. Numbers are ontological.
No.
They're ghosts.
And there's no difference
You
of
see
opinion.
a number
All right,
because
give
you
me one
saw a
philosopher
number.
who said this.
I'm an idiot. Can you
There's no-
define ontological?
Ontological is that which
Because
is the mind.
I looked it
It's
up
something
on-
logical, something you
Something
can.
in this
No, no,
context.
The
I looked
conclusion
it
you
up
can
on
come
mental.
to.
It's a mental thing.
It's a conclusion you can come to without actually having to see anything logically.
So why didn't you
No,
just
no.
call it logically?
Yes,
no,
it
that's
is.
not-
Why
It's
do
like
you call it
David Hume's
ontological?
relations of ideas.
My understanding
ontological.
No, here in this context, when I say ontological, I mean that which is in the mind, all right? That which you can conceive mentally, rather than through the 5 senses. Like a dream, for example.
Yeah.
Yes?
The way I understood
Mathematics
The
is like a
dream
dream.
is based
They're in the
on
same
what you saw
category
in
of things.
reality.
the way I understood
You
the
need
ontological
reality to distort it
You're
somehow
unconscious.
to the dream.
Right.
Yes, but the unconscious is made of shards of the conscious. You don't have anything
Anyway,
if you never perceive that.
Mathematics is not in the real world.
Listen,
That's
bro.
why Plato had the
right,
That,
mode
that's
of
the
4.
fallacy you're
I-
making,
I
and I
think
see how
there's
many
no
people
fallacy.
could have
This-
fallen for this
No,
fallacy.
by the way, no one has argued against what I'm
Right.
saying that I know.
But this
No
ties
one has
into
argued against what you're saying. I'm arguing against what you're
but
saying right
not,
now.
To be honest,
Do I have to have a name as a philosopher for you to take me seriously?
I'm just saying to you,
Does
here's the
me-
challenge, you have to
does
meet the
me
challenge.
rationally arguing with you
Meet the
is not enough.
Meet the
Is that
challenge.
not enough?
Meet the challenge. The challenge is prove mathematics through the scientific method. And you cannot do that. It's impossible because science presupposes principles which are logical in order to do
Right.
science. Those are metaphysical. They don't rely on the 5 senses, and there's no way in which you can use the scientific method to prove the principles of science. Logical principles are metaphysical. They're a priori. They're not a posteriori. They are mental. They are
That's
abstract.
debatable. Once you don't
Well, you
have,
have
no,
to
no, no,
prove
look.
you have
Once
to
you
prove
don't
through
have,
naturalism.
once you don't have any senses, no sight, no smell, no feeling,
I'll
no,
explain
no,
to
no,
you.
no, wait. I'll let you
Right,
talk. Let me
right,
talk. You cannot see one as one. There's nothing. Once you have
How do you
zero
know that? So a
senses,
blind person-
there's absolutely nothing. for
So
that
does
person.
if okay, I've got a question. If
With
ev-
zero senses,
I've got a
no senses
okay, fine,
whatsoever.
perfect. Take all the 7 billion people on the earth out of existence, and all the animals out of existence.
That's a hell of a thing to do.
Right. Take every living thing out of existence.
That's a
Yes?
huge thing to do.
Does mathematics exist?
No.
No, it doesn't. Pavlov, thank you.
I'm not shaking your hand. This is not over yet. This is not over. Don't run away. Don't run away. Don't go Hashim.
No, can I add to this? Because I agree with you.
That's fine. So 2
Don't
plus
interrupt now.
2
Don't
plus
interrupt
2
now.
equals 4
Seriously.
depends on my existence and your existence.
Exactly.
I beg you. Let us speak. Let us speak because this is the important part.
There's meaning in
That laugh proves to me that you follow the same logic as Hashim does. Because he
I
never
don't
once,
watch Hashim,
he
sorry.
never once even
2 plus 2
tried.
equals 4.
He never
Does
once.
that-
No, don't
is 2
interrupt.
plus
Don't
2
interrupt.
equals 4?
Don't interrupt Hashim too. Don't interrupt Hashim too. Tall Hashim. I'll call you Tall Hashim from now on. I told Hashim that I'm not certain about my existence because I'm not certain in what shape or form I truly exist beyond my perception. You perceive my existence in a different. Guys, don't interrupt for fuck's sake. Don't interrupt. We're finally getting somewhere. Now, Hashim refused to understand that because his agenda is to disprove what I'm saying and to ridicule it as much as possible. Because he refuses to understand that his perception is not the exact same perception that is absolute truth. I see color with my eyes because my eyes have 3 color receptors. I smell because my nose has a certain ability to perceive smell. I hear, I don't hear as well as a deer hears. I don't see as well as an eagle sees. My senses are not
You
perfect.
can hear in your dream. And
Sorry?
you can see in your dream. And your eyes are closed.
I can see in my dreams. I can hear in
If
my
you're
dreams. I
blind, you
can
can
touch
still
in my
Speak
dreams.
to a blind person. Here's your homework. The homework is speak to a blind person and ask them if they've ever had dreams before, where they visually see things. Right? If you think that blind people don't have dreams, that's
They
denying
probably
the
do have dreams.
Ask them.
But they have
Ask them.
sound in the
Your
dreams.
eyes, when you
They
close
do
your
not
eyes
see
like that,
color
you
in
still see.
dreams. They do not see
How do you
shapes
know
in
that?
dreams. No blind person will ever tell you that. How do you know they do?
I know
How
that.
do you know they do?
I've
How?
spoken to blind people.
to blind people. You spoke.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Fair enough.
I have a
Yes.
question for you.
Go
So, sorry for interrupting. Now, if someone is focusing
wanna
too
continue?
much, no, I'm okay. I just.
Oh, you're
Okay.
leaving. You're leaving.
Is
Don't leave
there
just
anything you
yet.
wanna say
to
Don't
me?
leave just yet.
I think we're done.
I don't think we're done.
Okay, one more chance. The challenge is
One more chance.
use
One more chance
math-
for you to
use
not.
the scientific method to prove science. Use the scientific method to prove mathematics. Can you prove mathematics through the scientific method? What would you do? How would you run the experiment? You're a scientist now. Let's find out. Pavlov's lab. We're gonna go to Pavlov's lab.
You're not listening.
Oh, no.
You're
We're
not
gonna go
listening.
to- okay,
as
I'm
I
asking
usually
you.
say,
Let's go to Pavlov's
the
lab.
battle between debaters, especially in Speaker's Corner,
Right.
is not for the agreement of the other. It's for the soul of the viewer.
Fine.
That's what you're fighting for. You're not fighting for me to start agreeing with you. You're fighting so that people will agree with you on the other
these
time,
are
on the
ad
other side.
hominems.
It's
I-
not an ad hominem at all
Yes, it is.
because you're not listening to what I'm telling you.
How would you do?
Now,
How would you run the
maths,
experiment?
as you see
How
it
would you run
right
the
now,
experiment? Yeah.
is ultimately shaped by your senses. While you're blind, deaf, you can't touch, you can't smell, you can't do anything, you will not have any conception of maths.
How would you
will not have
run
any
the
conception at all.
experiment in the laboratory?
Your self-awareness is based on your senses. Without senses, there is nothing.
So all the human beings, take them off the earth. Math 2 plus 2 does not equal 4.
No problem.
What is the two? You need to link it to something. Keep laughing. Keep laughing. Keep laughing. Keep laughing. Keep
I
laughing.
would like to have a chat with you.
sorry,
My
man.
wife and the camera.
No, I can laugh too. It is funny because
done.
Can I ask you like my final question
yes,
that I had stored for you all
Yes,
this time?
of course.
Right. I agree with you there with the mathematics stuff.
Yes.
Like essentially, what your argument is that the mind is a fundamental component of the way reality is structured,
Yes.
and in a sense, we have this miraculous capacity, whether you call it divine or whatever. What call you? There are things that are inherent that come from within that science can't deal with, and that we're doing. Like in a sense, what you and I are doing right now, in a sense, is playing mini God, right? We're actually.
I'm just
We're
trying to
playing with the strings of reality in a sense.
Okay.
You're having an effect on me in the same way I'm having an effect on you. Now, we've had this earlier argument about whether something can come out of nothing and all that stuff. And I wanted to tie that back all the way to the earth, right? Because that's all far away, heavenly, cosmological stuff, basically. I think philosophically speaking, it boils down to the question whether, because I feel that in Abrahamic religions and in Western philosophy and all that stuff, let's say Abrahamic philosophy, there's always this dichotomy, right? There has to be subject and object. You have this split between emotions and feeling, thought and feeling, symbolically masculine, symbolically feminine, whatever, what have you. Do you feel that ultimately, all things considered, at the end of the day,
Yes.
the universe can be explained?
Yes.
Right. That's our fundamental disagreement.
But
No,
I
so you
think
can have
your
absolute
open-mindedness is commendable because as someone who's an agnostic, you've accepted and acknowledged the fact.
I'm not an agnostic.
What would you? Someone who believes in. Sorry.
Right. So to give you my perspective is, Eastern philosophy is very skeptical of words. Very skeptical of words. They do not like, even though like there's been plenty of wars of Buddhists like crashing in the skulls of Hindus and vice versa. Like it's all over the place. There hasn't been a single holy war about doctrinal differences, because within Eastern philosophy, it is believed that.
I don't know about that, man. That's a difficult one to say.
Right.
It's about 4,000 years of history there.
Verbalized statements are never taken to be reality itself, and so I can give you a funny story, because often like I'm not sure if you're like aware of a lot of stuff that's going on in the culture right now. Something that's very rampant in all over the place on universities, basically.
Why, in this
Especially, all over the traditionally West, let's say. Right? There's this idea which is pretty much rampant, which is very which has a lot of similarities between Eastern philosophy.
Yes.
It's called postmodernism.
Yes.
It's very skeptical of meta narratives, like big cosmological stories, which I think is a big mistake. They're also very skeptical of words. What now has happened is that as soon as you can change the words, you change reality.
Yeah, grammology is
It's not grounded in logic.
Derrida wrote a book
Exactly.
called Grammology.
Right. Derrida, Lacan, Michel Foucault.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the most sophisticated thinkers around. Like they have their place, but
Yes.
do some more reading. in my estimation, for everyone that's super enthusiastic about them. But what's funny is and where I think our fundamental disagreement is in Eastern philosophy, they never take verbalized statements to be reality itself. And so in Abrahamic religion and Abrahamic theology and philosophy, there's more of an emphasis on the object, more of on the emphasis on the logical versus the illogical. And in a sense, I also feel that this is the reason why some people speak of a patriarchal system in a sense, because also the rational and the thought is often connected to the symbolically masculine. Now, a funny Eastern story to maybe shed light on where I'm coming from in a sense, because you might have, and maybe that was the reason why you connected where I was coming from to Dawkins, because most often when people speak about Eastern philosophy, according to Abrahamic thinkers, they come off as nihilists. It's right, you keep speaking about the illogical nature of the universe and all this nothingness that you're speaking of. You're nihilistic. You don't believe in anything. It's no, I'm not. I don't believe in anything. I'm not proposing an idea as the ultimate nature of reality, because I don't feel that at the end of the day you can verbalize the truth in a sense. I think you can come very close, which is very interesting because we can just have a conversation endlessly. And I do think that words are important.
No, but then this will make you drop into, that discussion with Socrates and the sophists.
Right.
You know,
right. So I think we misunderstand the sophists.
Pavlov, you know this one?
I do know this one.
What is it?
But listen, I wanted to speak about something else.
Before you
because you keep saying about this, I'll give you another chance.
Pavlov,
You keep saying I'll give you another chance, I'll give you another chance. There is no chance.
Okay, no chance. Man. Okay, fair enough.
There is no chance to begin with. You're not considering what I'm telling you.
Okay,
because in theory, the conclusions of math are absolute. 1 + 1 can only equal 2. But the application of those theories to the real life is where it goes wrong. Because all we have is real life. We don't have the world of theory. We can't perceive it properly. 1 is an imaginary number unless you see it as 1, as the symbol. It's imaginary. It doesn't actually exist.
So you agree with me?
In theory, I agree with you, but in practice, in the human world, it doesn't function like that.
Well,
and you're denying that distinction between the theory and the practice.
Right. So let me tell you the story. It's about this Zen master and his disciple, in a sense. It's this monk. How you call it?
I just want 5 minutes with you.
I'm in a story. There's a pupil, right? And so they're discussing the nature of reality.
For fuck's sake, I want to
Japan, within Zen Buddhism.
What do you want?
And they're the Zen
I'll ask
master
the question. I
is
want to
expounding
learn.
on the nature of reality.
Yeah.
And they're endlessly
him.
discussing.
I'll ask
And there's
him.
this
I'm not
big,
here to debate, I'm not here to fucking argue.
thing within Zen
I'd
Buddhism
like to
that you
learn
can't articulaate the truth.
Because
and so they're
if
talking
every day
about
you
the
learn
nature of
something,
reality, but the
you're a
Zen
better
master
person.
knows we can
Am I
never
wrong?
ever verbalize it. And so
Am I
they're
wrong?
they're
Am I
they're
wrong?
discussing the
Don't think
nature
so.
of all
Don't
the
think
things
you're
that
wrong.
are surrounding you. Right, so
You're
there's
quite
this
right, actually, but you need to
and then the
accept
Zen
the
master
possibility
asks
of
to this
learning
pupil,
something, and
"What
some
is
people
this?"
don't
Yeah, I
do
might
that.
accept
And
that. I
the
have to
pupil
accept
obviously
the
says,
possibility that it might be
"This is a stone."
bullshit.
The possibility of you
Zen
being
master says,
wrong.
"No. What is this?"
But unless I ask, I can't learn.
Right.
He says, "It's a
Indeed.
stone." He says, "No, it's not a stone."
So I don't give a
Stone is a
shit.
sound.
I just would
It's
like.
a sound you're making.
I come here to fucking
This,
learn.
what I'm having here in my hand right now.
I come here as a
that's
fucking
this.
drunk arsehole
What we're doing
who's
with words
who's
is
easily
overlaying
10
it
times
with
brighter than
some
all
Don't be
you
so
cunts,
harsh on
abstract
right?
conceptual thing.
I'm brighter than all you fucking
And
cunts.
now
Well,
here's
I'm
what's
not.
funny, because
Doing what?
you might
But I would
imagine
like
that
to. This is
Zen masters
this personally.
expound
I
so much
think he's
on
the most
futility of
charismatic.
words. You might expect them
It's
to
him.
never talk anymore. Because,
And I would like to ask
you can-
some
You
questions.
can verbalize statements about
Can I?
words.
Am I allowed to fucking do this?
Well, I think talking is fun, so that's the reason why I engage in
The
it.
fun is a good way to.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, sorry.
right. So the next day, they do their
You are, brother?
sort of lesson again. And it's like,
Is
"Hey,
life beautiful?
pupil, what is this?
Could it get better? Could it
And the
get
Zen master's
better?
happy. It's like he got the point.
Can we
He's not
make
gonna
it-
say
can
stone,
we all make
but
it
as-
better?
Because as soon as he says stone, he doesn't do the thing that I'm holding right now that
I
I'm
love
trying
that.
to identify just.
I love
Right.
Right. Then the third day, the pupil walks by the master, just before the lesson,
Yeah.
and he walks away to say take a leak or whatever,
Yeah.
and then the Zen master picks up the stone and throws it at his head,
Right.
and he's like, whoa, what the hell? What did you just do?
Yeah.
And the Zen master replies, I just threw a stone at your face. See it? You understand? Exactly.
Yeah.
You know how that's funny?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
What's your main
now it's
point,
like
though?
you
What's your
do
main
it.
point?
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know,
No, it's interesting. No, I take
it's a
it
funny
on
story.
board.
Cheers.
Thank you, man. Tell me some books I can read on Eastern tradition that you found.
Please, like what changed my life?
Go ahead.
Like Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Okay.
Right. It's a book by an American writer. It's like a American philosophy classic, and everything that you've like he goes into like the metaphysics of Aristotle and Plato and all that stuff, and he ties that to the East.
Interesting.
But he's an interesting thinker.
I'll
Like,
look at it.
if
What's that again?
Zen and the Art of Motorcycle
What's the name
Maintenance.
of the writer?
Robert Persig.
Oh, excellent. Thank
Right.
you.
Do you have a recommendation for me? I'll check it out.
Hold on.
I will. Cheers.
From
man.
chapter 50 to 100.
Read it with a grain of salt, though. With a big grain of salt.
Yes, okay.
I'm not here.
Cheers.
Mohammed. Thank you, man. Thank
I'm not here to debate or anything like that.
Yes.
I'm here to learn.
you. Fine.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're easily the most charismatic person here.
No, we've got Pavlov.
no,
We've got
no,
Pavlov.
I thought you were
No,
my
no, no,
fan.
no.
This is the
You
top 10
deflected
anime
that,
betrayals.
but a little bit of your heart knows that's true, yeah?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh.
Pavlov.
No,
I'm competing with
I'm
Pavlov.
not crashing your religion or anything.
Pavlov, I was saying.
I have all
Just
I
ask
have.
if you want, man.
All I have is a couple of questions,
Yeah.
right? And I want to learn,
Okay, fine.
right? If it turns into debate, then I think we should both step back. Okay? I don't actually know
Right.
what the Islamic version of creation is. I don't know like Big Bang, all this shit.
Right.
Now, if you want to go down the theological, ontological route, don't do that with me.
Right.
I would just like to learn.
The Quranic understanding of it, right?
Yeah,
So,
please.
according to the Quran,
Yeah.
God created the world, right? He originated the heavens and the earth. It's mentioned in the Quran, Badi'u as-samawati wal-ard, fatir as-samawati wal-ard. He is the originator. of
Okay, now can I pause for 1 second now?
Right.
When you said that, you went into another language.
Or do you not want that at all?
No, I don't mind that.
Oh, okay.
I love that. I think
Okay.
I think that's beautiful.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, just because it helps me remember.
No. I think that's a very beautiful thing. But for when you explain it to me, you say it in English and then you just jump to something
What
else.
would you like me to do? Say it in Arabic first.
Or if you do it Arabic first and then explain what you're saying.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
fine. Yeah.
I've
yeah.
come to you with an open heart to
Yes.
learn
All right.
about your religion.
No, I'm with you. So, the Quran says
Yeah.
that God originated the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
He began the heavens and the earth, and He created the earth, everything on the earth. He created human being and his progeny, and so therefore He's given a human being the ability to see that, to
Yeah.
recognize that, and to realize that, and also He's asked human being to worship Him.
Okay, if you don't mind me, I'll interject whenever.
Right.
Like, is there a timeline? I'm not being an arsehole. I don't want fucking religious timelines or any bullshit like that.
Yes.
I'm here to learn.
No, I know. There isn't a timeline.
So there's no timeline at all. It's just like.
No. There's no
So
timeline.
in the Islamic understanding of where you come from,
Yes. What, the universe or?
I don't know.
Right.
I'm asking you.
Right.
When did that come into being? I don't know.
We don't know when. That we leave to the scientists to try
Okay,
and find out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the other question.
Yeah.
Is I don't want to rob you of your time.
No, of course
No.
not. It's not.
But it's like when you say that is an open question.
Right.
How open is that? It's like, I mean,
No, but
like
basically-
obviously you are taller than me, so I assume that means intelligence, right? No, I'm joking with
I
you.
don't think so.
No,
I thought I was like,
But-
I'd be 7'5".
but
And Pablo would be 8 foot.
no, because I know people way taller than you,
Yeah,
right?
I I met a 7-foot guy recently.
Yeah,
at the gym.
yeah. And you had to deal. You were like, what the fuck? What the fuck
Do you
is
want to see
this?
the picture?
No.
Now you're just boasting.
I want to see
He
a
said
Look
Yeah.
at my picture in the
I
gym.
want to
Look
see
at
a
my
picture of you going, who the
Look at those guns.
Get this fucking kid out of here, man. Was he younger than you?
No, he was older than me.
He was older and wiser.
I don't know how old he was.
He was older and wiser. But like I said, it's like I've seen you before,
Yeah.
and all I want to do is learn. I literally do not know about the Islamic version of the creation.
Right. So, God created the heavens and the earth, the
Yeah.
world, the universe, everything inside the universe, the stars, the moon, the sun, the earth, you know, and He created the human being as well. And so that's the Islamic narrative. When it all happened, it's not detailed in the Quran.
If I do a shift there, I'm not getting agitated.
Yeah.
Like, I
It's
just
not mentioned. It's not like, you know, in the Jewish tradition. Some Jews believe that the earth is 7,000 years or 6,000 years
Yeah.
old or so. We don't have that.
So Islam has no dates on it,
No,
right?
no.
And so what about of course, because science,
Yes.
like we're not idiots. You're not an idiot.
Yes.
Science has goddamn motherfucking changed a lot,
Yes.
right? How does Islam accept this? Because I know I'm not an idiot. We all know that Islamic religion
Yes.
was the forefront of science for
For some
200 years, yeah?
Not
Like
quite.
no, but we had like they're called Arabic numerals.
The best thing that
For a
Islam
fucking
did was
reason.
allowing the scientists to prosper in their studies without cutting them off like the Catholics
Pav,
did.
when we need you, like okay.
Sorry?
I'm not here to argue.
No, I'm saying the
not
best
here
thing
to argue.
Islam did
I
was
would like to
allowing
learn,
those scientists to do what they wanted to do.
But how
Unlike the
does
Catholics.
Islam?
What was their religion? Those scientists?
Like there's obviously been huge amounts of
So what
change.
did
But
Islam
look,
do?
Right?
Does Einstein
And-
discovering the atomic bomb,
Like-
is that a Jewish achievement? Is that purely a Jewish achievement?
Whatever you believe.
He was a Jew.
And I think what's
but he
in
was a
your
Jew.
heart is your heart,
No, you
right?
cannot make
And
that argument saying that the
I
religion
think
of
that's more
Islam is
important than
against
anything
the
there is in the world.
I never
Because-
said that.
More
I just
important.
said that Islam didn't
I'm not saying you're
provide
saying.
those
But
achievements.
we
I just
also
said the best thing
had to
Islam
learn
did
about
was allowing the scientists
change.
to get those
Islam did
achievements.
was
And for
encouraging
a
people
man,
to go and seek knowledge.
I presume
And
you're a
that's why
man.
there are lots of scientists
For a
who
man-
became- who
for
are
a man
Muslims.
to
No dogma encourages
change in
people
their heart,
to
that's
achieve
it.
knowledge.
hard thing to
No
do.
dogma
Yes.
encourages people.
And I think
Dogma.
that the
You
only
know what
thing that
dogma
remains
means.
constant
Okay,
is
dogma
change
is a
yourself.
dogmatic belief. that
I
you
agree with that
follow
100%.
absolute conviction.
I,
It's an
no, no,
absolute
brother, I
belief.
agree with that
And go to
100%.
the university
So this is what I want to say.
That's
So
why I wake up early.
obviously,
I am Muslim.
obviously the Islam of
Because
Muhammad
Islam.
is massively different from the Islam now, right?
They wouldn't have Quran
Well,
reciting
some cultures
schools
have
if they
absorbed it
encourage
and obviously
actual
changed some of the
knowledge,
precepts and
history,
so on.
actual
And obviously,
knowledge, science,
that's what
actual
we try and
knowledge,
do,
unlike
going back
the
to
knowledge
way
in the
of
Quran, which
companions,
is not
because they were the
actual
closest to
history.
him.
Yeah.
So
I
even
can
Catholics
accept
don't do
that,
it.
and I
They
love
don't
that.
have
That-
Bible class.
So it's you
that is like almost something that our society's lost.
Right.
We don't have the companions of.
Yes.
Obviously, Britain was set up on like some ideals, right?
Yes.
But we don't have those ideals anymore.
How about this, man? How about we have
On that
something
day,
to
it
We're
made
going to
me
go
give
get
up.
something to eat
On that
after
day,
this.
it
I
made
think
me
it's
give up.
better
On
if you
that
come
day.
down. I invite you to come down, eat with us. We have something
something
to
like-
eat.
I disagree with
The
that.
Muslims
You don't wanna
in
do
the
that?
battle were
No,
outnumbered
no, 'cause I love you to
30-1, and they
pieces.
completely crushed the Byzantines.
But I feel that
Now the thing
I
about the
would
Quran
like to have
is,
this
it doesn't
conversation now.
directly speak about history.
Because I might
It
not
speaks
necessarily
about life itself
live
in a
until
very
then.
vague.
No, because I tell you what, right?
So
I'm
you're
not a fucking
actually
idiot.
certain if it is history
I've lived
or not.
on this
I wouldn't say
earth
Quran says
for my
anything
years.
about
You've lived
history,
on your
actually. It just has says
years,
things,
right?
like religious things. For example,
But
about
day to
Moses,
day,
about Jesus, about
Who
Pavlov.
knows? Minute to minute, we are.
Let me give you an example of what Quran says.
We strive to be the best people we can be,
No,
right?
just don't follow the Quran as a
So
historical
I
source.
wouldn't want to be in a situation
Well, why
where
are you
we're
saying
not
that
the best
it's-
people we can be.
It's a holy book
Right?
which you can take, and then from that you can.
My question is, I don't actually
Let me give you an
Why would you
understand.
call it history? Why would you call
And
it
like I said,
history?
I'm only
Yeah, you did.
I'm not
Yes,
here.
why is Quran not
I pushed him
historical?
away
No, I
because
said.
he wants
what
to debate.
happened?
Let me
I'm
tell
not
you
here
what
to
I
fucking
said.
debate.
I said. You don't
I'm
have
here
to
to try to understand the Islamic
When you
the
deny
Islamic
what you said before,
idea
just because
of-
you're proven wrong.
how did that come about? How we are here now? And then you've got, if you're going to go deeper, you don't have to do
Give
this.
me
You
a
don't want to, I
historical
don't give a
fact that you
shit.
got right.
I'm not here. I'm not here to fucking.
Persian Empire. During that time.
I'm not here to fucking question unorthodox beliefs. But I'd just like to understand.
That they will.
So the Quran says, you know, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. The disbelievers not see أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. The heavens and the earth were one piece.
You have to do a lot of translation there, buddy.
Yeah.
I know.
The
Peace be with you. I love it. It's like peace be with you.
And then God separated them.
Yeah.
وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. And we created from water every living thing.
I agree with that
وَجَعَلْنَا فِي
100%.
الْأَرْضِ رَوَاسِيَ أَن
I
تَمِيدَ
agree with
بِهِمْ.
that 100%.
Shall I recite for you?
I'm happy for you to.
Okay.
I'm happy for you to do what makes you feel most comfortable, and I don't mean that in a condescending bullshit fucking Westernist point of view.
Yes.
I just would like to learn about the Islamic view of creation. I don't know what it is, because I could be a dumb cunt, right? I could be just a dumb cunt and assume it's just Christianity, right?
Yes.
Or I could be a dumb cunt and I could read it in a book. Or I could hear it from someone.
Let me get the verses.
Or I could hear it from someone that actually believes it. And when I say believe it, I don't mean that in a disparaging way. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
I waited patiently in line because I would like to hear.
So the Quran says this. The Quran says.
Yeah.
Let me actually get two
No,
verses.
no, don't.
I want
You
you
feel-
to.
you
Since
feel-
you brought yourself in there.
No, you feel as comfortable as you want. I just want to learn. I just would like to learn.
Right.
Okay.
This is Quran, yeah?
Yeah.
Come here because I think it's going to block the camera.
No, fuck the cameras. Who cares about the
Okay,
cameras?
alright, fair enough.
No, man, dude, like, get over yourself. You are easily one of the most beautiful fucking men here, right?
Yes, yes.
Who gives a shit, right? No,
Yeah, right.
who gives a shit?
I agree.
Okay. So, how do you say?
Alright, so
okay.
Sorry.
How do you say God bless Mohammed? Inshallah.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
All right. So you were born that good, right?
Thank you.
So
let me tell you
can-
let me tell you what
no,
I
okay.
thought. Yeah.
So I want to say to you, you won a lottery. You're intelligent. You're good looking. You're big, right?
Yes.
How do I thank the Lord
And
for
you
that?
know, I think
How do I thank the Lord for
I
that?
think what you can do, if you want to look like good looking like this is a comb I've actually started to market.
Oh, no. You can't, no, that's bullshit, man.
Yes.
No, you're a fucking arsehole.
This comb is
No,
actually
you're a fucking arsehole, man. Like,
Mohammed Hijab on the shop section.
So I
you
asked.
can look like me.
No.
And it comes with it's called K by H.
Yeah.
Look, K
No,
by
fuck
H.
you. You're a dickhead there.
MohammedHijab.co.uk.
Yeah. No, you were born naturally big,
Yes.
intelligent.
But I had to work on it. I had to work on the intelligence. And I had to get the code.
Yeah, you have to get the code.
I had to get the
No.
code. Yes.
No, you've worked on it. Like,
Let me just recite to you.
okay.
Let me recite to you. before
Okay.
Right.
Put your fucking coat away, man.
Yeah, I'll put it
Right, and we've already established that you are naturally big, naturally good looking.
Yes.
You
got it.
And you've got a attention span. You've got an attention span of 10 seconds.
I like you, man. You're still invited, though.
No, I don't get invited. I am.
You are, man.
And you are. You
I'm
know
the guest.
you are.
I'm
you
the
are.
guest.
But like, are you gonna leave? No.
Come take over everything from your
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Because I'm concerned about the chemtrailing in the skies. I see nearly every day from these aeroplanes, they could be drones, fumes coming out from the aeroplanes, spreading out, forming cloudy material, what I call aerosols, aerosol clouds, and I've done some research and I find that these aerosols will spread out in the skies